How many times have we pronounced the verdict upon ourselves? I have failed, as if failure were the essence of who we are. How often do we walk through the corridors of memory with eyes lowered in shame, convinced that every step we take is a stumble, that our striving is futile, that we are, at our core, insufficient? The most tragic part is not the act of falling, but the faith we place in this narrative, the belief that we are broken, defective, condemned to repeat the same mistakes without reprieve. But is that truth? Or is it an illusion staged within us? An unconscious theater in which hidden actors perform their roles, unseen yet powerful. Carl Jung, who dared to peer into the abyss of the psyche, suggested the latter. What we call failure may be nothing more than the choreography of shadowed parts of ourselves. They do not attack out of malice, but out of fear. They protect, but as a frightened animal protects, by retreating, by biting before being struck. They keep us small, unseen, comfortable, because growth is painful, because to shine is to risk being exposed. And here lies the unsettling discovery. The saboteur is not external. It is not merely society, parents, or the judgment of others. It is within. It is the residue of unremembered moments, childhood rejections, adolescent humiliations, whispered criticisms that live on as silent advisors. Their language is warning: don't try, don't risk, you will fail again. And without noticing, we obey them. We delay, we withdraw, we unravel opportunities just as they ripen. Why do we do this? Because the psyche is not a monolithic self, but a parliament of voices, some desiring expansion, others clinging to safety. Success, to the conscious mind, means freedom. To the shadow, it means exposure, loneliness, danger. Thus begins the inner war, aspiration against protection, the call of consciousness against the pool of regression. This is no trivial laziness, no simple lack of discipline. It is a drama as old as the soul itself, a battle between what we long to become and the protections we crafted to survive. If we are to transcend this, it is not by silencing the shadow, nor by condemning it, but by listening. For these self-sabotaging impulses are not flaws, but messages, symptoms of deeper wounds. Jung reminds us that the way forward is dialogue, to approach the saboteur not as an enemy, but as a wounded child, to ask what it fears, to soothe its panic, and in doing so, to reconcile with ourselves. This figure, the internal saboteur, dwells in what Jung named the shadow. It is not metaphor, but an autonomous system of psyche, housing all that we have exiled: fears, impulses, inadequacies, forbidden desires. From our earliest years, we learn what is acceptable and cast the rest into the unconscious cellar. Yet what is repressed does not vanish. It grows potent, alive, watchful. And when the threshold of transformation appears, new love, new work, new life, it is the shadow that whispers, "This is not yours. You are not worthy." The danger is that it speaks in our own voice, with our own cadence, as if it were truth. But Jung teaches us, the shadow is not evil. It is primitive. It is survival embodied. For the shadow, change is death, and safety lies in repetition. To awaken is to see this for what it is. Not an enemy to be destroyed, but a guardian to be understood, integrated, and ultimately transformed. If this message resonates with you, consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment to share your reflections. Pass it along to someone who may need these words, and together, let's grow. Not just as individuals, but as a community walking this path of awareness and integration. To grow is to cross the threshold of the familiar, to risk exposure to the eyes of others, to confront the patterns that once kept us safe but now hold us captive. Yet the shadow resists this movement. It whispers that it is better to remain small, invisible, unthreatening. Thus, whenever we approach the edge of transformation, it awakens, arming itself with anxiety, binding us with procrastination, or scattering our lives into conflict so that we return to a territory it recognizes, safety disguised as stagnation. If we are willing to look honestly, we will see its fingerprints everywhere. In the decisions we endlessly postpone, in the projects abandoned midway, in the opportunities that slip through our hands, in the toxic cycles we repeat despite our vows to change. Each is a signature of the saboteur. Yet Jung reminds us that this force has power only while it remains unseen. What is unconscious governs us as fate. We call it misfortune, destiny, bad luck, until we realize it is but a neglected part of ourselves seeking recognition. To name it is to begin. But naming is not enough. We must ask, what does this part fear? Why does it equate success with pain, growth with rejection, exposure with abandonment? What ancient wounds still speak through it? Here lies the paradox at the heart of the psyche. One part of us longs for evolution, while another trembles before the very idea of transformation. It craves happiness, yet fears the cost. It desires success, yet interprets success as exile. Thus, at the very threshold of breakthrough, an invisible hand pulls us back, not as an act of cruelty, but as a misguided form of protection. These mechanisms are not born of reason, but of emotional imprints. Impressions left in childhood, when standing out invited criticism, when joy was met with ridicule, when authenticity became synonymous with danger. The child who once learned to shine is to be hurt, grows into the adult who unconsciously avoids every chance to shine. The unconscious does not follow logic. It follows the path of association. And if once growth meant pain, it will guard us against growth forever, even if it is now precisely what our soul longs for. Thus, sabotage emerges not as an enemy, but as a wounded guardian. It seeks to shield us from rejection by offering us stagnation. It prefers the dull ache of half-lived existence to the sharp wound of possible failure. In this way, we circle endlessly, dreaming yet delaying, desiring yet retreating. And here lies the deeper truth. The saboteur has no name of its own. It is a fragment, an echo made of pain, fear, shame, and conditioning. It does not wish us harm. It wishes us safety. And this is why attempts to conquer it through willpower fail. To fight it is to wound it again. To defeat it is to confirm its fear. The path forward, Jung teaches, is not war, but dialogue. Through active imagination, we learn to face the shadow as one would face a wounded companion. Listening, observing, granting voice to what once appeared only as symptom. In such moments, the saboteur begins to change. It ceases to be an obstacle and reveals itself as a protector awaiting integration. The enemy dissolves into an ally, and the fracture within begins to heal. If these ideas are sparking something in you, I invite you to support this space. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing this, send it their way. Together, we can create a circle of growth and reflection. The shadow does not always appear as a storm. It comes as a whisper. Self-sabotage rarely announces itself with clarity. It operates in the margins, through subtle patterns repeated so often that we begin to mistake them for our very nature. Yet they are not who we are. They are the shadow in motion, weaving its influence most powerfully at the very moments when life begins to open, when momentum builds, when the threshold of transformation is near. How many times have we reached the brink of something vital, only to falter without knowing why? Excuses arise. Fatigue materializes without cause. Doubt blooms on the eve of decision. A quarrel erupts where peace was growing. None of this is random. It is the shadow, defending its territory. Its weapons are not loud but effective. The quiet postponement, the small later that never comes, the sudden urge to dismantle what we were about to complete. This is no coincidence. It is the psyche resisting the unknown. For the shadow, expansion is synonymous with risk, and risk is synonymous with pain. Thus it holds us at the edge of our own boundaries, ensuring we remain within the familiar, no matter how limiting that familiarity may be. One of its sharpest tools is inner dialogue, that faint but persistent voice that insists, "You are not ready. Others do it better. No one will care. You will fail again." This is not truth, but memory. Echoes of old rejections, criticisms, humiliations that have never been fully integrated. Each time the voice speaks, it drags us back into safety, grounding us when we were about to take flight. Sometimes the sabotage is more cunning, staying up too late before an important day, forgetting the crucial call, provoking conflict at the exact moment life was flowing with ease. These are not accidents, but a hidden choreography, a coded defense against change. Even tranquility itself can feel intolerable, as though balance were more dangerous than chaos. And so we stir unrest, not because we wish for destruction, but because we have unconsciously learned that peace cannot be trusted. This does not make us weak. It makes us human. Our psyche, shaped by past wounds, has encoded its own laws. Success brings danger. Achievement brings rejection. Peace brings abandonment. Until these unconscious codes are made visible, the shadow continues to pull the strings, guiding our choices under the mask of fate. But there is another way. We cannot conquer the shadow by brute force, nor silence it by denial. To fight it is only to strengthen its resistance. The way forward, Jung insisted, is dialogue. For the shadow is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a neglected part of ourselves, exiled, ridiculed, punished, and therefore reactive. It is born from everything we could not reconcile with our image of who we should be. And the paradox is this: what we exile does not die. It grows strong in the dark. Only when we turn toward it, listen to it, and grant it a voice, does it begin to transform from saboteur into ally. This is only the beginning. In part 2 of this series, we'll go even deeper, exploring how to actively work with the shadow, transform its energy, and begin turning self-sabotage into self-mastery. So stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.